I'm Robert, the marketing guy here at Remodeling Right, and I don't know a damn thing.
And I'm Mike, the owner of Remodeling Right, and we're going to try to teach you guys and Robert over here a few things about what it costs to renovate your attic space.
All right, so let's talk about the most recent project. You did a Cape in Middletown, Rhode Island, and it had a couple dormers already.
Yes, 2 in the front of the house.
And she wanted more room, so she could include 2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Correct. So her Cape had a walk upstairs to an unfinished attic. Can't say that this is going to be in most of your houses, but for whatever reason it was here, and the attic space was never finished. It had the heat up there, it had a floor down, it had stairs going up, but it was just used as storage. So when Anne, the client, she bought the house, she had that vision in mind to add this additional space, and she did buy in the peak of the market. With budget in mind, we were able to save some money throughout the whole process. But there was a couple things that we really had to do to make that space usable. And one of them was adding the dormer in the back, because there just wasn't enough room to add that bathroom along with the 2 bedrooms.
So hold on.
Yeah.
Before we even get into that, a question popped in my head. If somebody is thinking about buying a home in the height of a market like Ann did,
Yep.
and she wanted 4 bedrooms, this had 2 bedrooms. That's why you guys did the project. Do you think it is better suited for somebody to find a house with 4 bedrooms or go this route?
That's a good question. So, 2 bedroom, 1 bath Cape. I think she paid somewhere just over $500,000 for it, which is really mind blowing. But remember, we're in the coast here. We're in Rhode Island. Middletown is on Aquidneck Island, so the real estate here is very expensive. So to find a 4 bedroom house with 1,500 square feet is what we ended up with. One, it's a tight house to begin with. Okay. So if you're going to find a 4 bedroom, you're going to get a lot more space, more square footage, more value, more cost per square foot, right?
So the price is going to be higher.
It's going to be higher and higher and higher.
Yep.
You get a 4 bedroom house, you're looking at probably around 2,000 square feet. I'd say the going price is around $800,000 right now. Okay.
Yeah.
She bought a Cape that needed to get renovated and had the potential of adding this space. So we actually did a full home remodel for her. And it costs, with all the change orders, under $3. So she's still at that $800,000 mark, but she was able to customize it to the way she wanted it, the entire house, versus just adding the attic space. If the first floor was finished to her desire, I mean, the attic space would have definitely increased the value, right? And brought it well underneath market value. So to answer your question, it cost roughly about the same, maybe even a little bit more, but the return on investment you'll see in the next few years is huge.
Got it. And when I think about what you said, it also gave her the opportunity to pick all the finishes.
Yes.
You know, the color of every room, the flooring, the kit, like every bit of that property was Ann.
Yes.
And you can't go find Ann on the market.
No. I mean, we did the siding to her taste. We did a brand new roof, so you get a 10-year warranty with a new roof. You added 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. We updated the electrical, updated the entire plumbing system, all the way down to the stack going out of the house, which was huge. And like you said, she was able to pick out all the finishes, so it's her style through and through.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm hearing other benefits as we talk about it. Not only are you getting a house that is yours, right? All your tastes are in it, but you have some peace of mind knowing that you just replaced everything.
Yeah.
You go buy a 4 bedroom on the market and you
don't know what's in the walls.
You don't know what's in the walls. I mean, you're appealing to somebody else's taste.
Yeah.
You don't know really like how well did they take care of the mechanicals and what's the condition of everything. With this, cost is about the same.
Yep.
But wow, do you get an elevated product at the end of the day?
Exactly. For our area here, real estate's very, very limited. It's just hard to find land, never mind a house that fits all your needs. So if you find something close and you can find it within budget to renovate after, you're gonna get the best bang for your buck, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes total sense. building out this unfinished area into a finished area, adding the bedrooms, the bathroom, to give you everything that you're looking for. What does that process look like?
Well, I'd say it all starts with a consultation with your contractor. So working with us, what we do is we do a phone consultation to make sure that we're a good fit from client to contractor. We'll talk about preliminary budgets based on what other people have spent so that you know what the investment looks like. Because a lot of people don't know what construction costs, especially now in 2024 with inflation, the way the market is. I'm having a hard time as a business owner keeping track.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Everything's changing rapidly every freaking day. So the process starts with reaching out to a contractor, understanding and making sure that you guys are a good fit. The project is feasible due to local building codes, international building codes.
Hey!
Eduardo! This is the guy that managed the entire project. You asked me the process.
Yes.
So the process, it all starts with reaching out to a contractor, getting the consultation, which in our world, it means that we're going to talk about what you're looking to add to your project or actually accomplish, what the budget price and concept actually looks like. So we're going to talk about rough numbers on what other people invested. We're going to talk about the feasibility of the project. And then as long as we're a good fit, we're going to schedule an on-site consultation to do a little further investigation to make sure that we're not breaking any code requirements, or if we need to update things, we know exactly what to update. So specifically, ceiling height issues, electrical issues, things like that, we're going to take a good look at on-site. And then from there, I'd say the next thing is going to design, right? You can't get a permit without the design, because the building department needs to know what you want to do.
So let me back you up for a second. How long is this going to take? This part of it?
This can take anywhere from, I'd say 30 days to 90 days, maybe even longer.
So that's going to take 30 to 90 days to have a consultation, figure out what you want to do, figure out if it's feasible,
and begin the design process.
Yep.
Even within that 90 days, depending on how fast your designer, architect, builder moves, you know, I'd say that's 45 days to 90 days is really the design phase at that point. If you get put on a queue, it could take longer than that as well. So there's architects out there that we work with that have a 3-month backup.
Got it.
Backlog is the right word.
I gotcha. All right.
Everybody calls and they want to get it done now. And it's not always possible. Is really what I'm trying to say. I do want to talk about zoning a little bit.
Okay.
So, depending on the house and where you're located, state to state, town to town, county to county, it all differs. We're in communication with a project down in Newport, Rhode Island that had to get a site plan done from an engineer to show the setbacks of the property, right? So the setbacks are the areas that you're allowed to build within before your property line. So from house to property line and from street to top of house.
Okay.
Down in Newport, we did a site plan because all of Newport's really tight. Every exterior alteration requires a site plan. Even Ann's house required one. For hers, it was a lot easier. She had plenty of land all the way around. We didn't have any concern. I was able to hire an architect to do it for a few $100s. Very, very easy. This one at Newport cost a few $1,000s because houses were so close to each other. Plot lines are harder to acquire. So you actually had to go through I think it's a civil engineer. And when they pulled the elevation of the property, it was at 32 feet high, existing. Max building in Newport is 30 feet. So it made the house non-compliant. So to throw a dormer on it when the house is already non-compliant, you had to get approvals from your neighbors and your town. So that whole process added 90 days because it takes forever to get in front of the town, right? Everybody's trying to build it, and, you know, your township's only so big. But around here, things take some time. You have to be patient and know that you're investing money to get these plans and designs drawn that you might not be able to do your project.
Do you find a lot of people don't have those expectations from the get?
I find a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they can do whatever they want. The grandfather rule, I don't know, you know, that's out, man. You don't get that anymore. Like, if you're non-compliant, you're non-compliant. You're not grandfathered in because they built it 100 years ago. We're now trying to fix and recorrect everything that our, for lack of better words, forefathers fucked up. I'm not talking politics and all that stuff.
Yeah, no,
Right?
I got you.
I'm talking back in like the 40s and the 50s and the 60s when people built without permits and no regulations. They screwed things up, and now we're getting smarter and smarter, probably because people are getting hurt and dying and whatever else, right? Fire codes are getting harder to get passed, and it's just becoming more strict. So it's always important to have a builder that knows all this stuff, right? But it's also important to set those expectations with your clients, because this is not a project that can happen overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes good sense.
What do they say in the military? The P's. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yeah. How intricate is the design? When we talk design, are we talking some basic prints? Are you getting everything down to the knobs for your cabinets? Like when you say design, because design is such a broad term. What are we really talking?
So really, to get it to price it accurately and to get it in front of the town, you don't need very elaborate plans. But if you're a detailed oriented person and you have a specific vision in mind, the more detailed, the better. One, it helps the builder price it. So if you just give me a floor plan, you're going to get a basic price. If you give me elevations showing tile patterns and millwork, you're going to get an accurate price that represents every single detail that you wanted. So you don't need a lot to get it going.
Yep.
But you do need, if you are more than basic, you do need better plans. Because you, the homeowner, you have one thing in mind, but if it's not on paper, the contractor's not a mind reader, well, you might not be happy at the end.
I'm thinking of all the different scenarios where they wanted a special tile or a special countertop or a special type of insert. And it's like, well, to get that, it's actually going to take this much time, and that's going to back up A, B, C, and D. And now your projected time frame just tripled. The
things that I've seen that really add a lot of cost to a project are, we're in a bathroom renovation. They're like, oh, I didn't want a threshold in my shower. Okay, well, you need to let that know from the beginning, because it's a structural requirement for your floor sizing. So if we have to chop into your floor sizing and then sister everything structurally and remodify things to put the drain in there, you're talking a couple $1,000 that could have been accounted for ahead of time.
Yes.
And if you knew about it from day one, it probably wouldn't even cost that much, because now you're not ripping out, redoing, and fixing things. Another good one is like a wall mount faucet. Right? Faucets come out of the countertop. They make awesome wall mount faucets, and I think they're absolutely beautiful, and they look great in bathrooms. But if you don't know about it from the beginning, and you start framing and you're doing everything, and then somebody says, here's a wall mount faucet. Well, shoot. The plumber takes more time. You got to change the framing at this point. You know what I mean? You got to make sure that there's nothing else in that wall, because you're coming up the wall to come out the faucet. So it's always these little things that get added on at the end. Or another good one is paneling. Hey, I want to put paneling in this bathroom. Now, mind you, the windows trimmed, the doors trimmed, you got baseboard on. Now they want to add paneling. Now we just want to make sure that we do it right the first time, so it doesn't incur additional costs, painstaking time that can prolong the schedule. That's another one.
Yeah.
All of these changes fluctuate the schedule.
It's got it.
So that's why planning, in my eyes, is one of the most important parts. Once you have your design in hand, if you haven't done it with a builder at this point, you need to find a builder. A renovator, somebody that specializes in this kind of work.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was already with somebody that specializes in this kind of
Not always. You can do this all on your own before you find a builder. You can also go to a design build firm. Right? If you contacted our company specifically, we would work hand in hand with an architect. So we would sign what's called a pre-construction agreement. Walk you through all of those phases to get you to the point to where we can now price it. We give you pricing, contract, and we start pulling permits, and then the process begins.
How many people do it on their own?
I'd say a fair amount, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Like the one in Newport, they reached out to us after plans were begun. So they had an architect, same one that we work with. Just by chance, they won a raffle around Christmas time. We gave away a free consultation, which is 2 hours of my time on site with them. They had plans drawn up at that point. and I walked out of that house with a good knowledge base of what they want, what their expectations were, and I'm now at the drawing board pricing it all out, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get that project.
And see, this is me not knowing anything, but if I was to go and think about doing a project like this, the first person I usually would call would be the person that I would be using to do the work. So I would call you first.
Yep, that happens a lot too. It does. It happens. I'd say it's a 50-50. All right, to answer your question more specifically, I think it's a 50-50. Some people do call us first, and I talk them through the whole process. And then at that point, because we don't have our designers in-house yet, and I say yet because it's going to happen soon, we work with architects outside of our network. Okay?
Got it.
They're in our network, not in the company.
Yep.
So homeowner calls, hey, yes, it should cost between this and this. Great, we're awesome fit. What's our next steps? Let me introduce you to the architect so we can get the design going. Here, sign a pre-construction agreement so that we're involved at this point. So now that the architect can't take your dream and blow it way out of proportion so that when I go to price it, it's 3 times as much as you wanted it to. I control the budget. When you share with me, open and honestly, say, hey, I want to spend $250,000. Realistic budget, no problem. I make sure that the architect doesn't put in all these fancy details or expensive materials that you didn't want. Because at the end of the day, the architect, they're very artistic, right? They're designing something that's going to look amazing on paper and amazing in person and hit all of your needs, but they don't always know what it costs to develop. They're not installing, they're not buying, they're just designing.
I got it.
So the best collaboration in my mind is a builder and an architect working side by side with a transparent homeowner that can clearly communicate what they want and how much they want to spend. Now, mind you, costs are going up, so we can't always hit that budget, but we try. We really do try. And I'll give you the option of saying, hey, if this is your budget, you might have to give up this, this, and this. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Yeah, that seems to be the most sensible route, because otherwise you're almost setting yourself up for a bit of maybe letdown or failure.
Yep.
When you go to an architect and you're like, these are my dreams, and they're like, great, here it is. And then you go to your builder and you're like, oh, wow, I can't, that's not gonna work.
I laugh, but it's really not funny. I mean, it's happened so many times.
Yeah.
I feel horrible by the time I go to price it out and it's $1 million and they're like, well, I had $700,000. 300 grand's a lot of money. That buys a whole house. We're not talking about the attic now. We're talking about bigger projects.
Yeah.
But that's where I see it the most on these big, large remodels.
Yep.
Because you're dealing with the exterior and the interior. You get details called out like stone veneers or copper details or nice fancy plastic corbels.
Yep.
I mean, these things cost a lot of money. I just looked at a gutter system that was like $7,500 for 100 feet. That's mind blowing, guys. It was plastic. You had to hand build a lot of the stuff. You had to use epoxies and fiberglass meshes to put it all in. Jeez. I mean, I took probably 3 hours learning how to install it before I even put together pricing.
Wow. So $75 a foot.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an expensive gutter. That's
Easy
an
math,
expensive
good,
gutter.
yeah.
Huh.
Versus like an aluminum gutter that's like 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Installed.
Yep.
You know what I
That's
mean?
a big difference.
Huge difference.
Yikes. Sounds like there's a lot of insights to help people kind of navigate through the budget to get as close as what they want as they can within their means.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a builder's going to help you get there. Not the architect, not the designer, not your best friend that just did a project a week ago. Definitely not your uncle that's in the trades.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need a builder that's going to be doing the project with you to help identify those things, but more importantly, you need to have a builder that you trust.
So, let's get back to this project.
Yeah.
This project here, you had an architect?
No, we didn't need one.
Okay.
This is a very simplistic design. Very, very, very simplistic.
Okay.
8 feet wide. It had a non-structural ridge. So we did a simple dormer. We tripled up the rafters on either side to carry the weight. We did a carrier beam that carried the weight of the ridge. We posted down to the foundation. And it was a basic dormer, matching exactly what was in the front. Same pitch of the roof, We just did wider for the bathroom. So an attic conversion can be very simple, like this one or the one that we're looking at in Newport, or it could also be something a lot more complicated where we're ripping off the entire roof, replacing the ridge beam, doing a whole shed dormer where you're lifting up the entire roof, you know, and creating that flat shed look.
Yeah.
If you're doing multiple gables, like there's time and place when you need an architect. Not everybody needs it. Again, Ann's been through a renovation before like this. We've done multiple renovations like this. So to come up with enough for the town to be happy, I think we only invested somewhere around $5,000 for basic drawings that we did in house.
Yeah.
For some engineering, for the site plan,
Got
all that administrative time.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
So this project had a designer. Sometimes you design. Right?
Yeah. So we had an interior designer.
Interior designer. How is that leading into all of this? How did that all come together? If somebody's looking to, you know, do something like this, is an interior designer recommended? Like, how does that all work for somebody that is, you know, doesn't really know crap?
Yeah. So, all right. If this is a little different than normal, I'll be honest. And our client came from a design background. She had a specific vision in mind.
Yep.
That was very different than what we're used to. Being on the coast here, we're used to the blues, the grays, the beach feel. She went from more of a rich, earthy tone feel, bringing in the taupes, the browns, the gold finishes. You know, even the tile in the bathroom, in the kitchen downstairs, that black look.
Yeah.
Oh man, it definitely hit somewhere special in my heart. It was cool to see. She hired the interior designer, for a little advice. One, to help with the floor plans, because Ann, our client, wasn't technically savvy in doing the floor plans, or at least she didn't want to.
Yep.
So I introduced her with our designer. We got the floor plans done. They helped us do the layout stuff, right? Again, she wanted to work with a designer, and so we introduced them. We got to a point where we're picking out finishes, and Ann kind of took the lead on that, which was cool.
Got it.
But if you don't know what you want, you're very unsure, you kind of know what you like, but you have a hard time pulling it all together, it's difficult. Wood finishes, metal finishes, paint colors, flooring, tile, everything, right?
Yep.
Making sure that it's all cohesive. An interior designer, is the person to hire because they specialize in that. Spend the money up front. I think an interior designer, you're probably looking anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000, depending on the size of your house.
Yep.
To go through and really pull all those elements together. Site protection. So if you're keeping areas of the house, like the hardwood flooring, protect it. Put down some ram board, something that you can protect it from damages, because construction it's heavy lifting. It's dirty. You don't want to damage something that you plan on keeping, right? So identify those things ahead of time. If you're the client and you're living in the house, dust protection, right? So putting up dust walls and air scrubbers, anything to help the client live through this renovation, because God, it can be painful.
I bet.
You know what I mean? Imagine waking up every morning and walking out and having dirt and dust and sawdust and nails.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
So daily cleaning is important, but before even any of that comes, like before you even lift a hammer, you go up there and you put your dust walls up, you put your floor protection down, you make sure you designate your construction area, your management area, you get your first aid kit on site, because you never know what's going to happen. That's site protection.
Okay.
Then once that's all done, you're ready for demo.
Now you're ready for demo.
Demo's the fun stuff, though. It's therapy. It really is.
Yeah?
I love it. Breaking shit.
I can see that.
Get that Sawzall out. You know?
Mess shit up.
Get the sledgehammer and start smashing stuff up. It's fun.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever accidentally over-demoed?
Yes.
Tell me about it. What happened? Like you hacked a window or a door you weren't supposed to out?
No. Nothing major like that. Renovating areas can be tricky. And we've done, oh God, I don't even know. 50, 60 bathrooms probably.
Yeah.
I don't even know. And you rip off the wallboard. Let's say it's the sink wall and you got the bedroom on the other side or a living space on the other side. And you start ripping stuff out and it's stuck, so you grab your hammer and you go through it. You go through that wall into the other wall. And then you're playing that, what is that? Hello, I'm home. You know what I mean? So that's easy though.
So you actually did that?
We've gone through a wall that we didn't mean to, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
It's funny, not funny. I didn't do the whole, hey, I'm home, honey, I'm home kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want to at that point and make fun of it, but no, you just patch it, you paint it, and you say sorry and you move on. You don't put it on the client. That's the number one thing. You own your mistakes and you fix them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You accidentally break a window because you spin around with a 2x4. Well, it sucks for everybody involved.
Yeah.
But the contractor has to own his shit and move up and
Yeah.
do it.
Yep.
I had one of my workers actually break a $3,000 light fixture by walking into a house backwards, laying out a drop cloth. There was no table underneath his dining room fixture, and he popped his head up and broke the bulb. Luckily, we didn't have to replace the whole fixture. We were able to get one of the bulbs blown, hand blown, because it was one of those things.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, we were actually trying to protect the floor, and he broke the damn light.
That sucks.
But, accidents happen. You try to minimize them. Luckily, we don't have many on the books.
Yeah.
And I like to keep it that way. We're knock on some wood.
Again, like you don't know, you don't know. Most people don't know. If Joe Schmo, they hire Joe Schmo, he shows up and he's just, trucking through the house, making a damn mess. It's nice to know that that's not normal.
Not normal.
So it's good to know what that entails.
It can be if you try to hire the cheap guy that doesn't know any better.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've had people tell me that they'll clean up after me, and I say, nope. It's rolled into the cost. If you don't like that, you can find another company. I don't.
It's your reputation at the end of the day, right?
It's my reputation, my cleanliness. So like their neighbor walks in and they see the mess. They're not going to call me. They're not going to ask and know the deal that I made.
Yep.
That's one side of things. And two, the safety and well-being of my clients is top of mind. And you take that away from me because you want to maintain your own safety and cleanliness, well, then I'm not your contractor. I'm not.
Yeah.
And that's part of the consultation. That's why we have these phone calls and these meetings, to make sure that we're a good fit. Not everybody goes together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about all the people you date. All right, I like to think about going on dates. If you don't like each other, you're not going to go on a second and a third date, right? But if you like me, you like the conversation we're having, great, let's try it out. Let's go a little farther. Now we're holding hands. Next thing you know, I got my arm around you. All right, you ready to go and lean in for that kiss? That's signing the contract. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to look at it. I mean, all right, so what are we in so far? Money. What are we in? Design, permits. What are we looking at?
So if you sign
Just for this dorm, just for this second floor.
for the one that we're talking about, this project?
Yeah, just this project.
So for this project, you're probably in around $10,000. This is a basic design, basic planning, basic consultation. What we go, typically our pre-construction looks like 10% of the overall budget. Okay, so something like this, I would typically ballpark between 100 to 175,000 because the structure was there. Now this is hard because I'm separating it from a bigger project as well.
Right.
So cost-wise, you're probably into it for about $10,000, but if you're going to sign a pre-con with us, you're probably looking at a $15,000 to $20,000 investment to get through all of this. Any of the money that's left over gets applied to the project as the construction costs needed.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like you're paying for like essentially a retainer.
Yep.
And we're going to start working and taking off of that.
This is already an empty spot.
Yes.
There's nothing really in here.
No, there's a lot in there, actually.
Maybe I'm not thinking. Tell me.
So the subfloor needs to get pulled up so that you can run plumbing and utilities through it, and then put it back down.
See, I'm not even. All right. Yeah.
Some people want to insulate the subfloor so that when you're on the first floor, you can't hear people walking around. So sometimes you got to rip up all of the subfloor. This house had insulation all the way through the rafters because heat rises. It stops at the buck where the insulation is. So we had to remove all that insulation. One, to bring it up to code because it was old and worn out. Two, it didn't meet code at that point. Three, we had to open up for framing. Okay, so we ended up chopping into the actual roof, which is part of demo. So demo and framing kind of go hand in hand. Sometimes we can use the demo crew specifically. Sometimes it has to be the framers. Because you don't want a demo crew coming in and then a delay, huge hole in your house.
Yeah.
Right? The guys that cut into it are ready to button it up that day. And if they can't do it in a day, then they're bringing tarps and other protection that's needed.
That makes sense.
That all gets factored into that cost and timing. Yeah, so there's plenty of demo involved. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot more than.
Yeah.
Thank you for spelling out. There's a lot more than I.
It's a few $1,000s. You know, it's not the biggest price taker, but it's a few thousand.
Yeah.
You roll that in with the framing. Okay, now let's frame the dormer, replace the subfloor where you needed, frame all of your interior walls, strap your ceiling. Now you're ready for the trades. That whole investment between demo and framing, you're looking somewhere around 25 grand, I'd say.
That's including the dormer?
That's including the dormer.
Okay.
And materials. Not your window, not your trim, not your roofing, not your siding.
Just demo and
This is
framing.
the framing. So you're in a rough structure. It's weather tight.
Yep.
Okay. Plus, yes, maybe a window there or not. Right. 25 grand. It's a ballpark number. But that's roughly what you're looking at.
Okay.
And then you got to put the roof on. You got to put the siding and trim on. You know, for this house, we did the entire roof because it was in poor shape. So I think this one cost us around $11,000, $11,500 or so.
Yep.
You don't have to do the whole roof if one side of it's in really good shape. So like the front, it had 2 existing dormers.
Yeah.
If that roof was in good shape, I would have went from the ridge down on the new dormer side and did that whole side. The reason we do the whole side is because you want to flash it in appropriately. You know, you just can't get the right seal unless you remove it all and redo it all. You can get a really good seal and it may last for a while. You may have an awesome roofer that you know that can really blend it all in. But since we offer a 10-year warranty on our roofs, I do the whole thing, start to finish.
Got it.
You know, it's the only way I can warranty it.
Yep. That makes sense. What are we looking at for the roof? You said 11.5 for the whole thing?
11.5 for the whole roof.
Okay.
I can't remember how many squares that is. I think for a brand new roof, plus or minus, you're around $1,000 a square, materials and labor. Right? You can definitely.
I'm dumb.
10 by 10 area.
Perfect.
Right?
All right.
Square is 100 square feet. So
Got it. Okay.
Call it 11 squares for that roof, somewhere around there. Now we had to strip one side. Actually, you had to strip the whole roof and redo it all, which adds to the cost. This is why you're so high. If you just hire a roofer for a new construction house, say it's built and you want to just slap a roof on, you're probably paying labor-wise anywhere between $300 to $500 a square plus the materials. And then you got to think permit and dumpster and everything else.
Yeah.
So a renovation, safe price to give you to give you guys a peace of mind. So when you're budgeting, I'd say $1,000 a square is a good number where it could be plus or minus a little bit.
Okay.
And that's depending on where you are in the country. I know people, in the middle of nowhere that can roof for a lot less money because the cost of living is lower, cost of labor is lower, cost of materials are lower. Where we're at, it gets expensive quick.
Yeah. Northeast is pretty expensive, especially when you're over here on the coast side of things. So,
At this point, you got the exterior crew patching and siding, putting on trim, putting in your windows. That's all, a few $1,000s there, depending on the size and materials you use.
Yep.
Now that you're weather tight, it's time to put your utilities in.
So this property, you guys sided you
We did the whole house.
Whole thing.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
As an investment?
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm thinking right now. I want to say we were somewhere around $16,000 to $18,000 for vinyl siding.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep. That was the green.
The grain, yeah.
Green siding. So it was good siding.
It was really good siding.
It wasn't the cheap stuff.
Nope. We did keep a lot of the trim, but we did replace some of it. Trying to save money where we could. The trim was wrapped in metal, so we kept the window framing or window trim all around the first floor.
Yep.
Threw a J-channel next to it. The new dormer, we gave ourselves new PVC trim. No J-channel needed because you tucked the siding behind. Beautiful look.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we actually painted the trim after we went through and installed the PVC so that the PVC would match the old trim.
Oh, I was gonna say you don't have to paint.
You don't have to paint. No, you don't have to paint the metal either. But we did. We wanted it all to match.
Got it. Okay.
We went with like a linen white, so it gave it a subtle tone, not that stark white look. And I think we paid like $6,000 or so to have it all painted. Now it's time for the big trades. So if you're running HVAC, you're gonna want to get your HVAC guy in there first because of the big ducts, right? Think biggest to smallest, and I'll explain this at the end.
Okay. This is
So
helpful.
HVAC runs first. When you're managing a project, you want to make sure that you get all your big duct work in, your air handler in, because those are the hardest to get in.
What if it's like forced hot water?
Oh, that's easy. That's plumbing.
That's not
So-
considered heating, venting, airing, cooling.
That would be considered heating, not air cooling.
Wait, what does HVAC stand for?
I don't fucking know.
I thought it was heating, venting, and air cooling.
Yeah, probably.
But the heating is done by plumbers, not by HVAC?
So a hydronic heating system
Yeah.
can be done by a plumber and can be done by an HVAC specialist.
Got it.
The way
Alright.
we work, my plumber is well versed in hydronic heating. He'll run any of the baseboard heat, hydronic heat that we need.
Got it.
Toe kick heaters, baseboard heaters, radiators, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
If you're gonna add air conditioning, you're going directly to an HVAC specialist that's gonna run the big ductwork for that forced hot air and air conditioning.
Got
Now, if you have gas and you want just forced hot air, that's an HVAC specialist. Okay. A hydronic could be a plumber or an HVAC specialist.
Cool.
Make sense?
It does.
Awesome. So you want to get all the big ductwork in if you're going to do that. On this job, we didn't need to do any of it. We had the two radiators up there.
Yep.
So we had a hydronic system, which is where I was going with this. You could put mini splits up there for an investment of like 12 grand, 15 grand. You could probably throw something in the eave and run ductwork to feed your first floor for 20 to 30,000. Right? You got a bigger house, more money, more equipment, more ducting, more labor, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Right? For this house, we had heating there. She didn't care about the AC. She's going to do the window units later. It's fine. We skipped that step, and the next thing on the list would be plumbing. Right? Biggest to smallest. Plumbing is going to have the big pipes, the water lines, the hard to get to areas where you have to modify your framing sometimes to get your drain lines where you want it.
Got it.
Okay? So those guys come in right after the HVAC guys because they run the second biggest lines. Your stack that goes from the basement all the way up to get your toilet, your shower, and your vanity. Then you got to go through the roof with your venting. That all has to happen before you close it all up. Theoretically, it actually happens before you put the roof on because you're going through the roof. Okay? It's a tricky gamble depending on weather and time of year when you do it.
Yeah.
We've done them where you put the roof on and then we'll penetrate through and you get a specialist up there to flash it all in.
Yep.
Right? Not the most ideal, but it happens depending on what season you're in. After HVAC and plumbing is done, now you're into the electrical. Rewind really quick because we're talking cost in this video.
Yeah.
Plumbing cost for a standard bathroom, you're somewhere around 10 grand for the 3 fixtures.
Yep.
Running the piping, running the water lines, making sure the venting's done. If you're throwing in any heat, a couple $1,000s for heat. For us, we had the radiators, so we were good. So it was really an investment of around $10,000 or so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
Jumping into electrical, up here we had one light. You flip a switch, one light turns on. It's an attic space for storage. That's what it was.
Oh, you're saying before. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So we had to run a few new feeds from the basement up. This house had a 100 amp panel. It's a small house. It was sufficient. We did realize near the end of the renovation that we're kind of maxing it out because the new utilities, the new appliances, the stove itself was I think a 30 amp or a 40 amp line, which takes a lot of power, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So talking electrical on the attic conversion, we did 2 bedrooms. So it's a circuit for the lights, a circuit for the outlets. The bathroom is going to have a circuit for your GFCI. It's a dedicated 20 amp. And then you're going to have power to your lighting, your exhaust fan or fart fan for other words.
Fart fan.
Yeah, I mean, and then because you're putting living quarters up there, you want to make sure that you're hitting all the fire codes, right? Safety codes, life safety stuff. So smoke detector.
Oh, okay.
Smoke detector in each bedroom and one outside the 2 bedrooms.
Is that the code?
Yeah. All hardwired, interconnected. So if one goes off, the whole house goes off. Electrically speaking, I mean, you're looking at an investment of around 10 grand.
10 grand.
If you have to update your service, if it's a longer run, it can add up quickly.
Yep.
If you're going to the 3rd floor, I highly, highly recommend running 1 feed. 160 amp all the way down to the basement, creating an area for your sub panel. So now your electrician can easily branch off of that and feed your attic versus running each individual line all the way to the basement.
Got it.
This house gave us easy access, so it was a lot easier than normal. Yeah.
And everything you're talking about is materials and labor. These
plus or minus, yeah, plus or minus.
All right.
These are all very generic numbers.
Yep.
We did pull them out of our proposal, but I'm not giving you down to the penny kind of thing.
All right, but we're pretty close.
Yep.
We're pretty close. Okay, cool. All right, so we got plumbing, we got electric, frame, roof, demo, plans. Now we're looking at
Insulation.
Yeah,
this is where you don't want to cheap out, but you have a lot of options, okay?
Really?
You do actually have a lot of options for insulation. So you have to hit certain codes. In Rhode Island, it's R21 on your exterior walls, R38 in your ceilings. There's insulation codes for your basement and for other areas of your home. Speaking about this attic conversion, for whatever reason, the inspector allowed us to keep R15 in the exterior walls because there was only such a small part of the area. Most of it was this roof line.
Yep.
Okay? So we asked for permission, so we didn't have to spray foam the exterior walls, but if you have money in the budget, I definitely recommend doing it, but it gets pricey.
Because
spray foam's more expensive. It's a better quality.
No, why do you recommend doing it? What's so great about spray foam?
It's got better insulating value per inch. So you can spray 3 inches of closed cell and get R21, right? 3.5 inches of fiberglass is R15. The difference, 6 Rs, is a lot in the dead of winter.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
In this house, we ended up spray foaming all the sloped areas because the framing was only 2x8. So after 5.5 inches, you hit R38. Down the flat and over the flat of the ceiling, we did all R38 fiberglass, which made the inspector happy that we did that.
Yep.
And he was fine with the 2 gable walls being R15.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Always ask your building inspector before you do anything like that because it'd be costly if you don't. Right?
So when I was at the property, before they insulated, they had these big black plastic trays going down the roof.
Baffles.
For what?
It's a baffle. It gets the air from your soffit to your ridge vent. It allows airflow along the plywood substrate of your roof. Because if you think of the way the sun hits your asphalt, especially black, it's gonna get real hot.
Yep.
And if you don't have air movement underneath that, that's when your roof starts to bow and cave and move around. Your shingles can fail and pull off. There's a lot of issues that can happen. So you want airflow there. You can do. I'm no expert at insulation, but I've been told by experts that you can spray foam right to the plywood, and because of I think it's an open cell, it allows for some air movement or something like that. So you don't need the baffles, but because we did closed cell, right against it, we needed that baffle.
Got it.
That's my understanding of it, at least.
Cool.
I lean on my trade partners for advice because it's a lot to know.
No,
it really is. All these little nuances, and they change regularly too. You know?
Yes.
And I don't get an email saying, "Hey, this code changed." I get a, "Hey, you failed. This is the code now."
Go fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for explaining that. Cool.
Oh, pricing for insulation?
Yes.
I mean, this investment can be anywhere of like $7,500 to upwards of $20,000 if you're spray foaming every little nook and cranny. You got to think about fire blocking as well.
Yep.
Right. So fire blocking is stopping airflow through vertical to horizontal movements, so that if a fire broke out in the wall, it can't get sucked through into the ceiling. So you got to use Roxol or the special foam or caulk that you can use to block those things.
And that's all under the insulation umbrella.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Yep. All right. So now we're ready to put up some drywall.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
All right.
This is going to be one of my favorite parts of the project.
Drywall. What's so sexy about drywall?
Nothing sexy about drywall. I absolutely hate drywall.
I've done it either.
I've done it a million times. I've sanded it. I've never plastered before. I never wanted to learn plaster because, well, if I learned it, I'd be good at it, and then I'd have to do it every day. All jokes aside, you really want to make sure that you hire a good plaster company because bad plaster can be a nightmare to fix. It's cement at the end of the day.
Okay. All right.
You get a guy that's just slopping it on and not making it smooth and scratches the trowel here and there. And you go to throw paint on it and you have a textured wall and you didn't pay for a textured wall. So now you got to pay your painter to go through and sand it and skim it with joint compound and make it smooth again. It could be a nightmare. All right, and you don't really see it
until it's painted.
Until it's painted,
and then you're looking at this huge line on the wall.
And lights are on.
Yeah.
Lights are the last thing that you put in. So what do? We walk around with a shop light.
Yeah.
Double check everything. If we see anything, we call them back. After primer, we do the same thing. Our sheetrockers will come back all the way up to after primer. Once you put paint on the wall, you're paying everybody extra. And if you get a shoddy contractor, they won't come back to fix their stuff. That's what I was saying.
I got it. Okay.
But if you get to final paint, and then lights are on, and you're walking through, and then you call the plaster company, they got to come back and fix it. Sure, they might come back, especially if you have a good one. They'll come back and fix it. But now you're paying your painter.
Yeah.
To go through and do it because he's done.
Yep.
Or she.
Yep.
I know a lot of female painters that are awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's you want to be careful with who you hire. You know, for us, we're general contractors. We've built relationships with people. I know the quality.
Right.
I know the pricing. If I don't know it, I get it from them. Right?
Yes.
It's relationships that have built over years.
Which is part of the benefit of using a general contractor.
Yep.
As opposed to me saying, I'm going to call fucking John's Painting and Will's Painting and ABC Painting.
Or going with the lowest bidder because you want to save $5,000.
And then not knowing what I don't know.
Exactly.
And then shit's fucked up. And then in a year, I'm pulling paint off and sheets.
That'd be a nightmare.
Yeah. So what does it cost for plaster?
No, you're paying for the sheetrock. You're paying for the labor.
Are your sheetrock guys doing your plaster too? Is it all one kind of service?
I like to find a company that can do it all.
Yep.
But some companies that we worked in the past will sub out the hanging of the sheetrock because they have skilled plasterers on staff. So you can have guys that just hang sheetrock and that's all they do. And it's probably the most coolest thing to see in person because these guys move faster than anybody I've ever met. And they do it with not even really thinking about it. They'll throw a piece of sheetrock up and they're like, zoop, 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 and they just cut out 3 lights and hung a 12-foot piece of sheetrock with one hand. Try doing it yourself. It's freaking hard.
I saw this video one time of a guy putting up sheetrock, and it was like it must have been from like the 70s or 80s. And it was like an archway.
Yeah.
And he was like, shh, 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 and he made like this beautiful, perfectly arched. All the everything lined up perfectly, and it must have taken him about 60 seconds. And it was fucking impressive.
Yeah,
it was impressive.
It would have taken anybody else an hour.
It took me the whole day.
Yeah. No, those guys they do it every day, man. That's why we hire our trade partners. Yeah. I don't want to teach a guy to hang drywall, to install trim, to do the tile. Because they're going to get okay at a couple things, but they're not going to be awesome. They're not going to be efficient. The quality might be good. Sure, there's great handyman out there.
Yep.
But they're not going to be as fast as the other companies. And time is money. Time is patience, too. On a renovation, you only have so much patience.
Yeah. Especially when you're doing something to such a scale.
Yeah. I mean, something like this, depending on what's included, I mean, you're looking at an investment of anywhere between $12,000 to $20,000 again. Right, it's a lot of labor involved, a lot of materials involved. You got to think about logistics, how to get the board up there. Do you have to boom it through a window, or are you hand carrying it up there? You know.
Yeah.
How many angles do you have? How many corner beads do you have? All that adds up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're painting.
No. Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I guess before paint, right? So plaster needs to cure before you put any paint on it. It's a cement product. It needs what's called off-gassing for up to 30 days before you apply paint. Now, that's not always possible in a renovation.
Yeah, 30 days.
Right. So you got to use a specific type of primer. Not your cheap PVA primer at $9 a gallon. You're using a masonry primer at like $40 to $50 a gallon. Stuff stinks, but it's designed to prime masonry products and allow them to off-gas as they cure. What this is going to do is going to prevent that peeling paint in the future.
Wait a minute, but aren't you putting a latex over your primer?
Yeah, but so you put it on, and then you go through the rest of your project. Okay?
Yeah.
So if you want to prime early, you can prime early. You just have to use a masonry primer. Then we're talking about flooring, door installation, trim installation, tile. Everything gets kind of buttoned up, and then the painters come back and they're touching everything up. They're going through the trim and they're painting the finished products.
Okay, so that's why you were like kind of paint.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. All right. A little primer. All right. So primer, and then you said it.
Flooring.
Flooring's
the next step on my list.
Yep.
9 out of 10 times I'm flooring. Sometimes I'll put the doors in first. Sometimes I don't. It all depends on what's available and where you're at.
This project though,
Yeah.
flooring wasn't next.
No, because we did carpet. Carpet's last.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you go
All
with carpet, you wait to the very end because you don't want to get it messed up.
Okay, that's why it's last. Yep.
We did our tile though, so that's why I said flooring and tile.
Got it. Yep.
All right. You want to do your bathroom floor. You want to do your surround. Anywhere you need tile, you want that done, and then you're going to be installing all your trim. You can do it in conjunction, like we did on this project, where we did the bedrooms and then came back into the bathroom after the tile job was done.
When did the tub get put in?
In the rough.
In the rough. All right, I think I missed that.
That's
one.
before sheetrock.
Okay. All right. Before.
Yeah,
sheetrock.
you gotta rough plumb it. You gotta test it. You gotta make sure the drains are hooked up, that there's no leaks, nothing like that. Gets inspected, and then you put the cement board around it, and we did a tile surround.
Got it.
The cement board goes in conjunction with the sheetrock.
Okay.
It's wall board.
Okay. Yep. All right.
So now you have your place is sheetrocked. It's all plastered. You got your tile done in the bathroom. For this one, I mean, we're talking like a $6,000 investment for the tile on the floor and the surround.
Yep.
If you're gonna do a custom shower, maybe a backsplash or anything like that, you could be upwards of $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. Cost of material can fluctuate greatly.
Yeah.
You can spend $2,000 on tile, or you could spend $10,000 on tile.
Yep.
I just had the conversation with a good friend of mine. He was looking at slabs. He wanted to he had a 4x4 shower, and he wanted to put up custom slabs, so countertop material. It was like $8,000, $9,000 for those 3 walls, plus the installation.
What are we talking?
Three slabs.
What kind of slabs?
Quartz, probably.
Quartz slabs?
Yeah.
Wow.
Templated, fabricated, installed. They're heavy as hell. They're awkward. Lots of glue. You got to make sure that your framing will support that kind of weight.
Yeah.
Well, he opted not to do that and bought the large format tile.
Yep.
Which was still probably $3,500 for that shower.
Wow.
If you go with like a 3x6 subway, you're probably spending $700. Big difference in cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's huge.
Know your style. That's part of planning.
Yep.
Picking out materials, knowing what pricing is ahead of time, so that you're not at the finish and being like, I really want this, but I can't afford it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Being all let down at the end of the project.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
So then, I mean, all right. So we talked about flooring. We talked about tile.
Yep.
Flooring can range in when you put it in and what materials you use. There's carpet, there's hardwood, there's LVP flooring, all with different price points. We're talking about a 400 to 500 square foot add-on here. So between the tile and the hardwood, or the tile and the carpet, where you're able to keep costs down.
Yeah.
But if you say you went with hardwood, I mean, you could be looking at an investment of like upwards of $9,000. $10 to $18 a square foot, depending on the type of hardwoods. LVP flooring.
Again, material and labor.
Yep.
Got
material and labor.
Okay.
Yep. Depending on the size of hardwood, you may have to glue it down. Right. So anything 5 inches or bigger, we do a full glue method.
Yep.
And nail. That just prevents the wood from curling because we're so close to the coast. A lot of humidity changes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You try to let it acclimate, but it's still going to move season to season.
What's your favorite wood? Oh, your favorite flooring, not wood. What's your favorite flooring?
White oak.
Real natural white oak.
Solid white oak with like maybe a touch of like a whitewash look, giving it that light taupe look.
How do you feel about the plank thickness?
I like 5 inches.
5 inches.
Yeah. It's got a sweet spot in my heart. I don't know. I really don't know. I've seen it so many times. It looks beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every single house around here was all built with like that 2 1/4.
Yes.
Now that we're in a new era, people are playing around with it. I mean, I've seen 7-inch wide hand scraped boards. Cool for the right person. Not my style.
Yeah.
I've seen hickory. I've seen cherry. Not my style. I've seen walnut flooring. 5-6 inch walnut flooring. Beautiful. But it's a softer wood. You gotta be careful. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it moves differently. This was in a buku $1 million house. It was amazing. You got to know your property. You got to know your style. You got to know your budget.
All very good points.
Yeah.
So what was the total investment for here? Carpets, tile floor.
So tile was around
Flooring
$6,000. $6,000 for the tile and everything. The carpets, I think, were around $3,000 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was reasonable. Very reasonable.
Yeah. Okay. Where do we leave off?
So we got flooring, tile,
carpets last,
carpentry,
carpentry.
Getting a skilled carpenter on site to install your doors, your trim, your vanity, your plumbing accessories like your toilet paper holder and your towel rods and all that stuff. That all falls underneath the carpentry thing. Getting the shelves in the closets, right? Because you need a shelf and a rod. Putting your door stops in. All these little things. Yeah, you can sub them out to handyman and all that stuff, but we take care of it with our carpenters.
Yep.
It depends on what you're going to be putting into the space. If you're going to be putting in paneling, accent walls, things like that. This renovation was pretty simple. We didn't go overboard. You know, we had some fun with it. So you're looking at an investment anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000, depending on what you're putting in there.
For the second floor?
For the second floor. That's what? 2 bedroom doors, 2 closet doors, a bathroom door, fully trimmed. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows up there that you're trimming out. You're running baseboard throughout the place. You're putting in shelves and rods.
Yes.
We did those little access doors behind the beds.
You did those custom little doors
so that you can utilize the.
You chopped down a custom door for the closet.
Yep. So those modifications, they add up. You know, I think we came in somewhere around the $10,000 mark, all in. But you know, for an attic conversion like this, as long as you're not going overboard, I'd say 8 to 15 is a good budget.
Cool. Does that include materials even down to like doorknobs?
Plus or minus. Yeah.
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus.
Okay.
You know, I can't say exactly where we fell out because I think sometimes we don't always account for doorknobs and doorstops. And if it's not spelled out in your contract, then it's probably not included.
Got it. That's a good tip.
Everything, it is, because you know we go through these things and we break them all out, and we do use spreadsheets and graphs and all this stuff to track it. But depending on the client, like here, she helped manage a few things. She ended up buying the doorknobs and we installed them. Why? Because she wanted to. I don't know. It was easy. Get a nice little custom. I think she had the black eggs, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. Those are cool doorknobs. You know, if you go to your builder, he's probably going to spec something basic. If you want something a little higher end or a little bit different, you can either have them buy it, which comes with a markup, or you can buy it yourself and hand deliver it. Always ask first, because it can be insulting, and not everybody does business the same way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, some people want to provide everything because that's what they need to do. I'm a little more flexible from time to time. I won't let you buy everything, but if you have some specialty things and you can get it a lot cheaper than I can, by all means, save the money.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Me too.
Sweet. Yeah. I'm sure people appreciate that too.
Coming back full circle, we're back at paint.
Yeah. Okay.
Your electrician comes, your plumber comes after final paint, usually, to put in the finished fixtures. So the painters come in.
They roughed everything. Carpenters get the vanity in, get everything all set. They got to come back and hook it up.
Yep. So you want to paint behind your toilet before you put your toilet in. You want to paint your ceiling before you put your lights in. Yeah. Sometimes what we'll do is actually put the lights in and take them out, because with the recess, you have these little clips and they can damage the sheetrock. I've seen it before where the electricians will go clip it, it chips it, and then you got to go patch around it and touch up the paint.
Yeah.
So sometimes what we'll do is we'll drill all our holes, make sure everything's good to go, and then we'll paint everything, and then electricians come back and just slap them in finally.
So what's an investment for paint? And I'm assuming paint, that's including your walls and your trim.
Yes. Walls, trim, ceiling,
doors.
Everything. Doors. Yeah.
You gotta paint your doors that come in prime, usually, right?
Usually primed, yeah.
Okay, so you got to finish those.
So if you're staying strictly paint, no stain, polywork, because that's all advanced stuff. No wallpaper, because that's all advanced stuff. No textures, just regular colors on the walls. It's very labor intensive. You should be paying a painter between $50 to $90 an hour. Well, I mean, the last thing that we haven't really talked about when it comes to costs is the additional expenses that people don't think about.
Lay it on me, because I know. I'm not thinking about it.
Building permits? That's one.
I did. All right, I kind of thought about
We
that.
talked
we
about
went
it.
through the permit. I'm like, I'm sure a permit. I know the town's fucking charging something.
What do you think a building permit costs on a $200,000 project? Roughly.
Wait, so what's included in the project?
Say the
This
project.
whole renovation or this second floor?
Just it's a $200,000 project because building permits are based on the project cost.
Oh, okay.
Not the size, not the type, the
Good
cost.
to know. My gut says they're gonna charge. .5%.
No,
More? No.
$4,000.
$4,000.
About $4,000. Yeah. Now, a good builder knows that not everything goes into the permit. Okay. That being said, there are administrative fees that go into this.
Yep.
We have office staff that puts this all together for us.
Mhm.
You have to follow up with emails, talk to the town. You might even have to take a trip down there. So $4,000 is not, outrageous for a project of this size.
Okay.
Other things are like disposal fees. You gotta get rid of all the trash. So you get a dumpster on site.
Yes.
Those are expensive. Lastly, you got sanitation. So there's no bathrooms on the house. Your workers have to go to the bathroom. You got to throw a porta john. Paying in $180 a month, I think, $200 a month, somewhere like that. Just get a temporary bathroom. Project management. That's a big one. DIYers especially don't like to hear this.
Yeah.
What's so hard about managing a bunch of subcontractors? They're all supposed to be professionals. They are. They are supposed to be professionals. But you have to wrangle them like herding sheep almost. And I say that in the most respectful way. I really do.
No, I can understand now.
Right? Everybody's running their own business at their own pace, and you set your calendar based on your client's needs and what you expect. And something pops up in their life, their work, something happens, they get delayed. The project manager needs to step up to the plate, communicate that effectively, adjust the schedule, and let everybody know so they're on the same page. And that has to happen regularly. Daily, weekly, you know what I mean? Deliveries, accepting deliveries when people aren't on site because you're waiting for inspections or whatever. You're still ordering and keeping the project moving. You have to be available to accept deliveries, to unpack it.
Right.
Site maintenance, making sure that the subcontracts, the trade partners, clean up after themselves. And if and when they don't, you're there with your guys making sure it's clean and ready for the homeowners.
There's a lot there that you unpack with a general contractor.
Yeah.
But there are so many other things that go into that value that we discussed that
Some people see extreme value in hiring somebody to make sure that their investment is worthwhile and protected. And other people are at the top of their budget and they have to save money. So they sacrifice that and they try to manage it themselves. But I tell you, right now, I'd say, I'll be even more realistic. I'd say 8 out of 10 suffer. And 2 do it successfully.
that sounds right.
You know what I mean?
That sounds right. Because when you think about every trade, you think about everybody having their own business and having their own interest, and then you think about a homeowner trying to manage, unless you have a construction background,
Right. Or relationships.
or relationships where you really trust these different tradesmen or women, then I would be anxious all the time, like, you're fucking me, you would never know.
Yeah. It's hard, man. I mean, you gotta have a lot of trust in who you hire. It's terrifying to think that, just because you hired a professional to do one job, you would think that they would give you the recommendations and the insight of things that you didn't tell them. But they're not always going to do that because they're there to make the buck. They're there to get paid. They're there to do a job, and they expect you to know what you're doing because they typically work for GCs. Our project management costs come in anywhere between 10 to 20%. Typically.
10 to 20%, yes, there's a cost. But when you don't know what you don't know, and you have all these tradesmen in your house, and you don't know what to tell them, like you said, and people are in there doing things as they're told, not as it's actually needed, what's the true cost 1, 2, 5, 10 years down the line when something fails, something's messed up, you need to reverse everything and pull it all out to put it back the right way?
Are we talking
Now.
are we talking financial costs or like
financial
actual mental
frustration?
costs?
Okay, the whole bundle of it. The whole bundle of it. Now, how does that 10 to 20% sound?
I mean, I think it's a no-brainer.
All right. That's what I thought.
But not everybody's got the money.
I do understand that.
Some people have
I
needs.
do understand that.
So there's avenues though around that. Financial avenues.
What do you mean?
Home equity, construction loans.
Oh, to get the funds.
People think that if I don't have the money in the account, I can't afford it. Some people think they can throw it all on a credit card. Bad idea, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds like a
That could put you in
especially
debt
with
real
today's
fast.
interest rates.
Yeah. I would talk to your local banker, see what kind of value you have in the property already. Talk about a construction loan, and say you spend a few $1,000s to get plans and pricing, and you realize you can't afford it. At least now you have a goal to work towards.
Or maybe you can piece it out. Yeah,
Yes.
do it all at once.
We've done phases. I've definitely done phases before.
Yeah.
You know, it's not on an attic conversion like this, but
Right.
you
Probably
could.
wouldn't apply.
You actually could. Example, the job that we're looking at in Newport currently, as of this video shooting, they already renovated the first and second floor. Planning ahead, they ran a plumbing line up, water lines up, heating lines up. The only thing they didn't do is the electrical. So we got to find a way to get a 60 amp line all the way up there. Now we got to pull up the subfloor, put everything where it needs to go, and then close it all up. But it saved them from us opening up walls throughout their house.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty smart.
they phased it.
Yep.
They did, I think, the first and second floor in one lump thing, which probably cost them a pretty penny. Kitchen reno, bathroom reno, a few other things. They had a bad experience, is why we're in there with them now.
Yep.
I'm hoping to save them and give a little, restore faith in the contracting world with them. But yeah, it's, plan and phase it out if need be.
What is our total all-in over here on this second floor?
Second floor, third floor, throwing in 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, running all utilities. The price can range greatly, right? I think this project in Middletown, we're somewhere around the 150, 175,000 because it was a small little easy cape. And that's breaking it out from the larger project. Okay?
Yep.
So a lot of that overlaps. Some of it overlaps.
Yeah.
The overall cost that we've seen people invest for attic conversions is anywhere as little as 180,000 or so, upwards to 300,000+. You can deck out a bathroom. You can spend 100 grand in a bathroom.
Yeah.
You can also spend 45.
Right.
So depends on the logistics, the engineering involved, what kind of framing and structure you have to build and modify, and then your finishes and overall desire of how you're going to use the space. If you want to do a custom home office with a master suite reno, you could be easily in that $300,000 range. If you're looking for a space for your guests to come by and you keep the cost down and you just want to expand, you could spend 180 to 250,000.
It's good insight.
Yeah. All I gotta say is, if you have the attic space, don't let it go to waste. The return on investment is almost too good to be true.
Yeah.
And if you have a need for it, reach out to your contractors and start the process. Worst that's gonna happen, you make a small investment to find out that you have to push it down the pipeline later. Guys, if you found value in this, make sure you subscribe, because Robert and I can do this anytime you want.
Till next time.